What's up, Fiends? Alucard here, and I'm back with some more Tubi recommendations for you. So let's dig in. In case you're unaware, I do a show called Tubi Terrors where I review horror films on Tubi. Check it out, or if you have any suggestions for me to check out, let me know in the comments below. So with that, the first batch of films I'll recommend are the horror films. First up, we have Attack the Block from 2011. It stars John Boyega and Josie Whitaker. This is about a teen gang in South London defending their territory from an alien invasion. It's a really fun movie with early work from John Boyega and Josie Whitaker. Fun fact, when John got hired on for Star Wars, I was like, the Attack the Block guy? Okay, cool. Same with Doctor Who. So there you go. All right, next up we have Bermuda Island from 2022. This one's about some passengers on their way to a tropical paradise, and they crash at sea only to find that the island they wash up ashore on has some dark secrets. It's a really solid horror flick here, and I do have a full review here on this channel. I'll leave a link in the description. Next up, we have Beyond the Darkness from 1979. This is an Italian exploitation horror film directed by Joe D'Amato. This film follows an orphan taxidermist who inherits a house in the woods where he lives with his housekeeper, who is determined to become the new owner. After the housekeeper kills his girlfriend with a voodoo curse, he steals her corpse from a local cemetery. He then commits murders trying to find the right replacement for her. This one is nasty, it's gory, it's sleazy, and disturbing. You have been warned, but it's a good one. All right, next up we have Brightburn from 2019. This is the supervillain horror film about a boy of extraterrestrial origins who's reared on Earth and discovers he has superpowers. Of course, he uses them with dark intentions. This one is kind of like if Superman was evil. It's pretty good stuff. Check it out. Next up, we have the classic Critters from 1986. It stars Dee Wallace, M. Emmett Walsh, Billy Greenbush, and Scott Grimes in his film debut. This one follows a group of small, furry aliens with vicious intentions escaping from two shape-shifting bounty hunters, landing in a small countryside town to feast on its inhabitants. This is a really fantastic, small creature feature. I love puppet horror, and these look really great. And it spawned a gigantic franchise. So this is the OG. Check it out. All right, next up we have Evil Dead from 2013. This is a supernatural horror film about a group of 5 people under attack by deadites in a remote cabin in the woods. Deadites are undead, parasitic, demonic spirits. One of the few remakes I actually love. This one's right up there with the original for me and is different enough to warrant the remake. And this one has one of the most epic endings ever. Fantastic film. All right, now this one's a little different. This one is a documentary called Room 237, made in 2012. This one explores various interpretations of Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. This is an absolute must for fans of The Shining. It analyzes every minute detail, but it's thoroughly fascinating. And the more you get into it, the crazier everything is. It's really something else. And I know a few folks like it when I recommend some of the older films, so here's a couple for you. First up, we have The Thing from Another World, 1951. This film concerns a U.S. Air Force crew and scientists who find a crashed flying saucer and a humanoid body nearby frozen in the Arctic ice. Returning to their remote research outpost, they are forced to defend themselves against the still alive and malevolent plant-based alien when it is accidentally defrosted. This is the original film version of The Thing, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. This one's really good too. It's tense and well worth your time. And next up, we have The Hunchback of Notre Dame from 1923. That's right, this one's 100 years old this year, so look for a full review somewhere down the line. This was Universal's most successful silent film of all time, and it stars the one and only Lon Chaney Sr. This one takes place in 15th century Paris, where the brother of an archdeacon plots with a gypsy king to instigate a peasant revolt. Meanwhile, a disfigured hunchback falls for the gypsy queen. Now, Lon Chaney is one of my favorite silent actors, if not my favorite. The makeup job here is still incredible 100 years later, and this is an absolute must watch. All right, so I'm sticking with the older films here, but I'm changing genres a bit. First up, we have The Apartment from 1960. Stars Jack Lemmon, Shirley MacLaine, and Fred MacMurray. This one's a romantic comedy drama about an insurance clerk who lends out his apartment to his senior co-workers for a tryst. He falls for the elevator girl at work, who unbeknownst to him is having an affair with his immediate boss. This one is a riot. It's funny, it's entertaining, it's heartwarming, and I mean, Jack Lemmon is just a national treasure. He really is. Next up, we have BOXCAR BERTHA from 1972. It stars Barbara Hershey and David Carradine. This is Martin Scorsese's second feature film as director, and it's about a female labor organizer in Arkansas during the violent Great Depression of the early 1930s. She teams up with a rabble-rousing union man to fight the corrupt railroad establishment, and she is eventually sucked into a life of crime with him. Do I really have to say more than Scorsese? This one, however, does kind of slip through the cracks, and not a lot of people have seen it, but it is really good. All right, and the rest of my recommendations are all kind of action-oriented. All right, so first up we have Galveston from 2018. It stars Ben Foster and Elle Fanning. This is a noir crime thriller about a New Orleans hitman escaping an ambush and going on the run with a rescued teenage hooker. They head to Galveston to hide out and scheme revenge and redemption. Ben Foster is another standout actor who's great in absolutely everything, and this one does not disappoint. All right, next up we have Hard Target from 1993. It stars Jean-Claude Van Damme, Lance Henriksen, Yancey Butler, and Wilford Brimley. This John Woo-directed action thriller is about a woman in search of her missing father, enlisting the help of a local New Orleans badass. They find out her father was a victim of a group using people as human prey. In case you don't know, I'm a big Van Damme fan, especially around this time. His movies are just fun with awesome fight scenes, and this one delivers on all accounts. All right, next up we have a twofer. We have Kill Bill Volume 1 and Volume 2. They're both on there. From 2003 and 2004, respectively. Directed by Quentin Tarantino and stars Uma Thurman and David Carradine. Second David Carradine recommendation. Interesting. They also have Kung Fu, the series, on there too, if you're interested. Anyway, Kill Bill's about, after awakening from a 4-year coma, a former assassin wreaks havoc on the assassin squad that betrayed her. Part 1 is shot kind of in a more Eastern style of filmmaking, and Part 2 has a more Western feel to it. It's vicious, it's brutal, and it's absolutely gorgeous, especially the first one. Must see for sure if you haven't. All right, next up we have A Low Down Dirty Shame from 1994. This action comedy is written, directed, and stars Keenan Ivory Wayans as a former LAPD detective turned private eye, taking on the search for millions stolen by a drug lord. This one also stars Jada Pinkett, Charles S. Dutton, and Andrew Divoff. This one is funny, it's entertaining, and I don't get the hate for it. The critics just tore it apart, and I don't know what movie they watched, because I loved it. All right, and the last movie recommendation I have for you is a movie called Rise of the Legend from 2014. This is a Hong Kong kung fu flick about a 21-year-old Wong Fei Hung, the future folk hero, as he joins the Black Tiger crime faction to take it apart from within. This is one of my favorite martial arts movies. The fight sequences in this movie are freaking epic. The acting is solid. and it's just all around a fantastic flick. Not enough people talk about this movie. If you like kung fu stuff, please check this one out, Rise of the Legend. And I do have one last recommendation for you, and it's a TV series. Now, I rarely talk about TV on this channel, but this show deserves it. And of course, we're talking about Farscape, which ran for 4 seasons, and all 4 seasons are on Tubi right now. It's created by Rockne S. O'Bannon and co-produced by the Jim Henson Company. Farscape is about a diverse group of characters living inside a large biomechanical living ship called Moya. They are escaping from corrupt authorities in the form of a militaristic organization known as the Peacekeepers. Characters include a modern-day American astronaut who accidentally flies into a wormhole near Earth during an experimental space flight, a former Peacekeeper pilot/fugitive, an ill-tempered Luxan warrior, a bald, blue-skinned former priestess who belongs to a plant species, a diminutive ruler of the Hynerian Empire, and he's hilarious, and a thief and con artist. It's a fantastic show. It's kind of like Star Trek meets Guardians of the Galaxy. I think that's kind of a good way to describe it. Really great show. One of the few shows I was actually always waiting for the next episode when it was airing. So there you have it. My recommendations for the month of May. Have you seen any of these? Now, what do you recommend? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, adios, y bella Lugosi.